little introduction here. Hey, this is Hal Gill with Harrowings podcast, and Amy Neumann is back. This time I'm not driving, nor am I at this very clean, well-lighted space that appears behind me, but we're on Google Meet and we're going to record this and we'll put it out on Substack. And well, hopefully by the end of the day, we'll see how that goes. It takes time to process. I don't know how much time you have for me today, Amy. By the way, what's your time constraints like?
I have a call with a partner in a class that I'm taking for my PhD at 3:45, but I can extend it a little if need be. So about 45 minutes, 50 minutes.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Amy is the author, by the way, of Empower Your Nonprofit, which is doing pretty well, we hear. And she is also, speaking often and has been doing some things. You want to bring me up to date a little bit? You're also moving in two directions. So,
Yes.
I'm
a little obsessed with AI and its possibilities to make the world a better place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there along that some things, question marks. And so because I fell in love with Lisbon, Portugal when I went to Web Summit in 2017. And so it's a tech hub and an AI hub. There's tons of conferences there. So I'm going to be splitting my time between Lisbon, Portugal, and also moving to Columbus, Ohio. My daughter's there, and it's a big tech hub as well with Intel moving in and the state capital. Some sort of round robin things, Cleveland, Columbus, and about half my time in Portugal. So yeah, I'm excited. And it's all based on because there's so much happening in AI, and I'm in a PhD program, and I want to do research with some people in the EU and things like that. So I say I'm a both and person. I'm a both and person, right? Why not?
It's not either or, right? The black and white thinking is so yesterday.
That's right.
So the last speaking engagement you did, was that down in Florida? I know you were down in Florida recently, right?
It was really, really fun. I stayed in Ponte Vedra, and it was about AI for nonprofit CEOs, leadership strategy around it. And I got to be on a panel with a couple of CEOs and a professor from Harvard that leads their, I believe it's along the lines of entrepreneurial AI program there.
Huh.
And I got to do a plenary talk about leadership in AI. And I love speaking because in order to prepare for a talk, I spend a lot of time being really up to date. So I'm constantly, it's like a deadline to learn about a topic, deep dive, right? And I love to do a deep dive on anything. So, and before that, I went to Wisconsin for the University of Wisconsin, similar theme, AI for nonprofits or social good. And I could talk about it all day, and it changes so fast that it's never the same thing twice. It's like a river. You can dip your toe in, but it's a different every time you stick your foot in, right? So, and I love that. Love it.
You know who said that originally?
Who?
Or who's credited with saying it originally?
Wow.
It was Heraclitus.
Oh, okay.
Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, and he was apparently kind of hermit. And he appeals to me because I'm kind of a hermit. Staying down here in my bunker, and I occasionally venture out and I film the passing shows to find out what's going on here in Washington, D.C., where I live, right at the nerve center of this political theater.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to know from your panel, what were some of the big takeaways for these folks who are working on their strategies for nonprofits as CEOs? And this Harvard professor, he does entrepreneurial AI, helping people start up. So what's happening in that front? Just anything,
Sure. Yeah. I think that a lot of this is just, I don't want to say common sense, I guess, but it's humans are really good at doing certain things, and this is no different. It's just a different type of technology. But the things that are important to humans are that they're involved in the process at all points. I think it's important that you present AI not as a mandate from on high behind closed doors, because that never works with any technology. But what you want to do is ask the people closest to the problem what their creative solutions are. You bet they've been thinking about all that for a long time, and no one asked usually. So it was a lot about involving people in all steps of the process, building it together, testing it out loud, because you want to share your little breakthroughs. Everyone gets very excited about AI when they say, oh my gosh, I just did this. I didn't even know it could do that. You want everyone to share that, because this is how, first of all, now you're speed learning. Each person's speed learning, and you're amplifying it so much because you're you don't need to make the decisions. You need to be a good listener and ask good questions. And it's not about the technology ever. It's about, do we have a goal that could be solved by this technology that we were unable to solve before? And for AI, it's not, you're never going to use AI. What you're doing is you are thinking about the strategy of a problem and a goal and working backwards, and AI can be a big part of all the steps of that process. But you would never, you don't just, you buy a car because you want to go places. You don't buy it to park it in a garage. That's not the point of a car, right? So it's the same thing.
Depends on the car, but go ahead.
Well, that's a good point. So, I mean, if you really, really like a shiny AI tool and you want to just have it on your computer systems, like a fancy car in the garage, knock yourself out. But the point is, that's probably not going to help solve your problems too much. But I think if you just think about it like logically, how would you solve a problem in any way? So is there a possibility, because AI opens up, it's breaking through all these science and medical space energy breakthroughs, like knocking them down like dominoes. And
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
AlphaFold, for example.
So many interesting things. So I look at it like just, and it's doing that because people ask better questions about unsolvable problems, you see? And so it's just able to solve problems, but you got to think through as a CEO, what are the problems and what do we want to fix? Now you use AI to do it, but you can't do it the other way around where you say, let's get us some of that good AI and slap it on here and see what happens. That's not right. You see what I'm saying? You can't do that.
Butter on your bread.
But a lot of people do that without consciously thinking about how it is actually working. Right. So.
Right. I mean, this is a problem we faced in the Air Force all the time. When I was a contractor for them for about 7 years back, that was like my biggest gig in this phase of my career. And what we said was, you got to have a good problem statement before you come to us with the latest shiny IT solution. And then we didn't have really AI as such. We just had a lot of big ERP vendors trying to sell us, PeopleSoft, for example, for the human resources part of the Air Force.
Right.
And they were trying to stand up and get all of the value they could out of their PeopleSoft investment. But had they really formulated their problem statements well enough, had they developed their business processes well enough that they understood them, and then they could automate those business processes, sure enough. But if you don't have those thought out, garbage in, garbage out, right? And this is a big problem of spending in the Air Force. That was my career, was working on enterprise architecture, because we had done so poorly up until 1996 with buying IT solutions that ended up not providing the value expected.
Bingo.
And Congress came up with the Cleaner-Cohen Act that said, thou shalt define your IT architectures. And that spun up a whole industry. Smart, but the problem was largely, it sounds good on paper, but it's very rarely well executed.
I was going to say, I don't know how that executable that might be in all cases, but yeah.
The pace of change is so rapid. As soon as you develop a model, well, that model is history, and you've got to go back and say, oh, well, there's a whole new IT landscape out here. Cloud computing has come in, for instance, and now cloud computing is a lot of that's being used on clusters that are powering AI, I presume. I'm actually not so keyed into that field anymore, so I don't keep up as much, but you can tell me what you know.
Yeah. I think you just nailed it, right? You just explained the same thing that I said. If you are good at thinking through problems and strategically and asking better questions, any technology will benefit you more. And AI is just a faster, better way to do most things now than were possible before. So I think it's even more of an opportunity to look at your workflows in your operations, your daily life.
Right.
So if you actually stop and think about many processes in many organizations, which set up a certain way at a certain time for certain reasons, and they just continued on forever. Sometimes there could be different people doing things that there don't even a system to handle whatever that data is, completely unnecessary, but no one took a minute and asked the question, should we be doing any of this? Should we be doing it this way? Does the team working with it have a better way? They always have a better way. If you ask, almost always, they've been thinking about this all day. It's their job. They know it intimately, right? So it's just a matter of asking people, just sort of gathering up these jewels of information that have been sitting there, and you're just sort of putting them all together.
And being able to articulate
technology,
That's the thing I got, is that a lot of times the people who are doing the work are doing it so intuitively in the brain.
Yes.
There's this robot that does our work for us after we've done it for a certain length of
Hmm.
time. And it takes over. And then if you ask me, well, how do you do that? It's like the centipede story, right? You know, the one about the centipede is like, how do you manage to run across the floor so fast and it trips over its feet as it tries to think about it? It's just
Yes.
innate.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
storytelling of how we came to do what we do and being able to tell ourselves our own stories, I think is going to
Mhm.
be really an important part of AI. I was at a conference. I don't know if we talked about that. I don't think I've talked to you since, because I remember when I talked to you, I was driving back from the Who concert,
Oh yeah.
and it was in September. And in November, I went to this, what was it called? It's called Knowledge World or something to that effect, for about
Ooh,
knowledge management, KM World. That was sort of,
okay.
and it had a track on enterprise architecture
Nice.
or knowledge managers. And we're talking about people who run libraries or people who do
Mm,
knowledge management of all different sorts.
mhm.
There's one guy there, Dave Snowden, who has this framework called Cynefin. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but Cynefin. He's kind of famous in the knowledge management world, apparently.
Mhm. Okay.
But he said, AI doesn't hallucinate. AI bullshits. We hallucinate.
Oh, I
Because
like
we're
that.
looking at the output from AI, and it may be bullshit.
Right.
And we may hallucinate, oh, this is a great idea, right?
Yes.
And it's not, because what it's doing is it's trying pattern recognition on what it's been fed by us. And if we haven't told our story, if we haven't articulated our problem, the problem statement problem that you were mentioning,
Yes.
then we're going to get some BS back, which might look good. And a lot of times it does look very good.
Mhm.
But if you don't have the institutional knowledge or the whatever the real expertise in the field, you
Right.
might not know that this is absolutely science fiction. And speaking of science fiction,
That's a good way to put it. I think that's yeah. Yeah, and it's gotten much better, but I think that's true that that's also true just with humans in general too. Like if people start learning something and then they think they know a lot about it, it's the Dunning-Kruger syndrome, right? They think it's because they don't know what they don't know. It's they know a little, but they don't realize how much there is to know. But I think that AI itself is pretty factual these days, and I think also I do citations whenever I do research. I make it cite everything APA 7 bibliography style. Just pick whatever your favorite is.
it
And
can
it's
do it for you. That's great. I used to hate doing that.
oh yeah, you could have it do for you, of course. But I do it so that I know where it got the information. I make it cite its own
Then you go
sources.
back and look.
Yeah, and it's very accurate. And I've been training it and having it remember certain things for 3 years. So I have it set up so it's almost like a second brain. It speaks like me. It writes like me. It knows my aesthetics for my art. It knows what I talk about. It knows I'm interested in quantum mechanics and physics and sci-fi, and how do I integrate that into something? And how do I go from, like, let's say music or a language or martial arts? How does that combine with all these things? I think about been keeping track of this for years. So for me, it is next level ability. I'm getting so much more accomplished, but I'm only spending my time on things that bring me joy. And that freedom of time makes me a time and freedom billionaire, right? And so and it frees up a lot of time. It frees up all the time to do all the stuff I'm doing. So if you use it strategically, thinking through the questions first, you got to do that in your head first. If you start relying on AI to do it, it does diminish your critical thinking skills and your actual thinking abilities. But on the flip side, the opposite is true. If you just stop and ask a few questions, what am I trying to do? What's the goal? What are some issues? What are some things I've tried? Here's a bunch of reports that show what I'm trying to do. Here's some examples. Here's this. Think about it. Now you're creating everything. It's just doing some of the writing for you of your own thoughts at this point. But if you don't give it anything, it's going to be super generic. Probably won't make sense if you don't have any background in the topic. You won't know if it's right or wrong because you don't do any of your own thinking to know whether it was or not. But if you're not an expert, no one would expect that you would understand all the things that came back about a topic you don't know. But the point is that if you ask good questions even while you're researching, you learn the topic, as opposed to just reading something, throwing it over the fence, waiting, catching it. There's no cognition in that, right? You're not learning, you're anti-learning that way. So I don't do it. I never do that. I just use, it's called metacognition. I think through,
Yep.
I ask questions, and you actually grow your brain that way, and you save a lot of time.
Yeah, it's an extension of the brain, is the way I look at it as well.
It's like, yeah.
And much like when I'm using tools in the hand, the hand-eye coordination, that's another part of it.
Right.
And all of the different things that go into being human, I think, are not really threatened by the devices we've developed, and knowing how they work under the hood, I think, is so important for people to realize. Because I am reading articles. AI Frontiers magazine, for instance, ran one recently in December about whether AI is sentient.
Yeah, I have a lot of.
And I did not enjoy that article.
No.
I offered to write a counter article.
Okay.
I was denied, but I was frustrated that they would publish that. It was written by somebody who's a PhD in the field and very good, but it was misleading in so many ways from my perspective. I'm willing to admit that I don't know, and I remain skeptical, and then I become skeptical of myself in that. I think that's very helpful. They should always be able to step outside yourself and say, well, that sounds good, but maybe you ought to double check that. You know, my background, I think, is that I'm a historian's son, and he was trained up in William and Mary College by his professors in the 1950s that if it's printed, it's suspect. Nobody ever publishes anything without having spent money on that publication at some level or another. And therefore, you have to really think about, why did they want to spend time, energy, and money, particularly money, to print something? They want to get you to think a certain way. And you should be skeptical of why they want you to believe what they've said. So go back to their sources and go back to your primary sources if at all possible.
Right. I agree.
Again, I think that's really what you're saying about your own research and your work in AI and what you've developed. You're on a PhD track through which program? I've forgotten.
Ohio University. It's called, I kind of had to customize it. There's not, the type of research I'm doing is what's coming next in the next 5 years and things like that. So there's not existing, I have to sort of create it myself.
You're creating your program. That's very good. I mean, a lot of people end up doing that for PhDs in anything, I've found.
Oh, I think it's all highly customized anyways. Yeah, for sure.
And it needs to be even more so now because you're creative, right? You're also an artist, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, an artist. And I love music, martial arts. I do a lot of different things, but I can do a lot more in the past year because I freed up all my time to do it. So I live in a state of like joyful bliss most of the time and flow. I don't set alarms in the morning anymore unless it's for a speaking event. And I do what I feel like doing at the time because I'm very flow focused. Like I get into a zone. Yeah. And I've learned that I also learned I'm neurodivergent. I had suspected this for a long time, but I have both combined ADHD and autism spectrum disorder level 1, formerly known as Asperger's. And so, yeah. And I'm not surprised by any of this. In fact, I sort of self-diagnosed. I was surprised about the autism thing, but really it's not surprising that the more I know about it, it's very on point, right? And so but what I've realized is I kind of gaslit myself my whole life about not being able to do certain things, but I could do a lot of things. I kind of got accused of cheating. No, I wouldn't say they accused me. Thinly veiled, I could do calculus in my head in high school. So they thought I wasn't, because I didn't show my work. And it's kind of, because how your brain works, you don't have to necessarily process it in the prefrontal cortex, some of the things, right? It just goes mapped directly. And so, but I thought, it was such an, it annoyed me so much. I like banned math for decades, but I secretly loved it because I studied quantum mechanics and stuff. Certain math I like, geometry and stuff. But anyway, I just realized, you know what? It's okay to be super geeky about certain things that I'm into. And now I tell people I have all these inventions and things that I never shared because I do so much already. People tell me all the time, they're like, how do you do so much? Aren't you exhausted? But so I stopped telling the other half of my life, all the stuff. I hid it because it was like too much already. But then I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna be myself now. So get ready for some fun inventions and books about sci-fi.
Right. And that's why I wanted to amplify your signal through the noise of cyberspace, because I thought that, a little bit. And of course, I've got your book on 500 ways to make the world a better place. What was it called again? The exact title? Do you remember?
Simple Acts to Change the World.
simple acts, 500 different
Yes.
ways. And they're simple acts to change the world. And that's the one that caught my attention because I desperately want to see the world improve in positive, optimistic directions. And I know we're capable of it. You mentioned your diagnoses. I don't really have so many labels. I've been mislabeled in the past. Happened when I was younger. That's a long story, so I don't want to take up all our time on that one. But my sister thought I was autistic when I was growing up. She probably was right. And I look back at my behaviors, which were not labeled at the time. They're definitely
Right.
on that spectrum, definitely. And the other one was I've gotten a great deal of amusement out of believing that I have, and I again have not been officially checked out, having ODD. Do you know ODD?
I'm not sure.
Oppositional defiant disorder.
Oh, it's part of, well, it's under the autism. There's like close to 30 different things that fall under the neurodivergence, but that is closely tied with autism. You know, people who are autistic, there's 80% chance they also have ADHD. And if you have ADHD, there's a 40% chance you're also autistic. And all this is happening now because people know what to look for. So it's just more diagnoses. And self-diagnosis, perfectly valid. Honestly, it's an expensive process. And if you see yourself however you want to perceive that, there's no right or wrong answer.
Well, I know that people telling me stuff, particularly trying to give me direction, tends to get me feeling like I don't want to do that. But you know, I have a background where I did take orders from 11 years old to 18 years old.
Yeah,
I was a fifer in the Fife and Drum Corps, and we had strict orders, you know, to fall in, stand at attention, and you know, perform at high level of quality with some very simple rules that would lead to fairly complex performance. And I think that's really what I run on in my back, you know, processing unit here is looking at the world and trying to see exactly how I can most effectively and efficiently engage with it to be a good ancestor is the way I put it. Because I think we all need to be thinking more about being good ancestors because everything we do right here and now affects everything else. You like sci-fi. I don't know if a lot of your sci-fi involves anything about time travel, but you know, when people go back in time, if they change something, you know, it has these ripple effects into their present that they came back from. But we're in that time right now where everything we're doing is making patterns that are going to influence a future that we can't project very well.
Agreed. Yes, we can't.
So have you got a storyline you want to talk about from some of that sci-fi you're working on or whatever?
Well, I'm most interested in simulation theory. I think we've talked about it before, but I mean,
this simulation. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to think about, especially if you're into like quantum mechanics, and they actually dilated time in reverse already in a lab, the collider. So it's you can look it up.
I will, and more. And
because it's super. You will love it because this is why I love writing about it. Because so what happens is I think of something from like some other space, like a pattern somewhere else, and then I smush it together with a whole different realm, and this is how you get interesting inventions and things. And especially if you like writing, oh my gosh, it's a field day. But the simulation theory that all of this is, I don't want to say it real quickly for people who don't know what it is, but basically it says that if you get enough advanced technology and intelligence, a normal thing would be to start running simulations of civilizations so that you could learn about them. And most people who study this think that happened a long time ago and that we're part of the spin-offs. So that's a summary of what simulation theory is. And I'll tell you, if you're into like sacred geometry, if you know about platonic solids and you know about the Fibonacci sequence and all these things and fractals, it is very easy to make a case for the simulation theory. So a lot of, and if you, and then this train of thought allows for a lot of interesting time travel things. I have my little spaceships developed and different ways of creating gravity and all sorts of stuff that is feasible mostly in real life as well. So I'm excited to release some of these books and see what happens. And I think there's a lot of validity to some movies and things that have been made over the decades that I'm starting to sense that they were ahead of their time, you know? So in any case, I love any sort of thought experiment. So whether it's real or not, it's fun to think about and create worlds around, right? So I'm obsessed with that the most. Simulation theory. Yeah.
Simulation theory. So you've seen The Peripheral probably by now, or read it, the novel by William Gibson.
I feel like I've read it maybe.
Yeah, and I think that has really captured my imagination about that spurs.
Oh, yeah, I read that like a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another one that is springing to mind in the back of my head while you were talking. The Boltzmann brain theory. You're familiar with Boltzmann brains, probably.
Yes, yes, and this is happening a lot with AI right now.
There's a quantum fluctuation.
Yeah. Where everybody discovers stuff at the same time. That has happened. Am I thinking of the right thing?
Actually, I think Boltzmann brain basically is saying that we are more likely a quantum fluctuation that is developed everything we believe we know and just has popped into existence and will pop right back out again. And and they're infinite Boltzmann brains in an infinite universe.
Well, this is simulation theory.
This is real. My wife won't let me talk about this theory at all.
Well, you know what's interesting is that's another great way to call the simulation.
It is, and there was holographic universe as well.
Yep, holographic universe is another. I mean, when I dive deep, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a known part of it.
I mean,
oh my God, it's like there's no end to where you can spin it off. If I just sit here and make little snippets of movies in my brain all day. Like, well, what if you did this? And I'm obsessed with mycelium right now, which is, I just put my cheek. Mycelium is the underground web of mushrooms that connect the whole forest. But oh my gosh, there's so many scientific breakthroughs with mycelium happening. You can do so many creative things. It's just like one thing blossoms in all these other flowers. Then they start, they go over here and they start blossoming. And it's just this huge, probably fractal web of ideas that comes out of one new breakthrough that I read about. And it's so fun. Yeah. It's just, I never get bored with it.
Are you familiar with, you love music, Imogen Heap's work?
Yes. I saw her live at a blockchain conference a while ago. Yeah. I mean,
right. That was in the blockchain revolution. Right.
Yeah. I saw her live at a dinner and stuff with her little gloves that make the
Mimu gloves.
Yeah.
I saw her at my 11th wedding anniversary. She played the Lincoln Theater for that. Nice. It was hard to arrange, but no, I'm just kidding. I didn't actually arrange it, but we actually had the tickets for her like VIP thing at American University with just her super fans as well, which is lovely. But we're not, Lynn and I are not really that into it so much that we were super fans. We haven't been over to her house or anything.
Well, let me know if you're going over there. I'll just happen to be walking down her driveway and be like, "Oh, funny you're here. Just come on in." That's awesome. I love. Yeah, she's very creative.
Delightful. And I remember one time, earlier in her career, when she had come into DC and she like tweeted out to fans that she was driving around in her limo or whatever, and if they wanted to be picked up and show her the town, locals, she was willing to swing by. And I didn't do it, but I don't know if kids did or not who were following her. I feel like I'm a little aged for that, but I do love music, and I will be doing a thing for the Rex Foundation. I'm wearing my Rex Foundation hat pretty soon in May. My wife has told me for this birthday I can go, even though I haven't been working a paid job for a while, beyond Harrowings, which is supported by my paid subscribers who get a spot on the Harold B. Gill Foundation LLC board of directors for the privilege of being paid subscribers. Of course, they don't really try to direct me, or if they did try to direct me, I haven't noticed. One guy's a founding member, so I tell him he's the chairman of my board of directors, but so far, not much direction coming there either. But he's one of those literary types, right? He's a writer. He's big into the work of Chuck. I'm not going to pronounce his name right. It's long and it starts with a P. Polniak, I think. He's a writer of some cachet out there. I love to follow these people too. And recently joining Substack has been Rosie McGee, who comes from the Grateful Dead tradition. Her book of my Grateful Dead photographs and how I helped to make them, I helped kickstart. So when I welcomed her to Substack, she had just had 50 some subscribers last time I looked. she wrote back immediately and said, "Oh, I recognize your name as somebody who supported my work." And I was like, "Yeah,
Oh,
you're an icon." And she said, "Well, I like to think of myself more as an author and photographer, but
I love
anyway,
it.
it's nice to
Yeah.
be able to connect to people that way." And Substack's a good
Right.
platform for it, I believe. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you're going to be posting some of your work.
Yeah, I will. I started, well, what I did is I didn't think through what else was happening at the time. I was going to publish a story per week, and I published one.
Okay.
And I'll get back to it soon. And I think I'm going to do it a slightly different way. And I'm working on some longer form, maybe books of short stories. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to tie it all together, but I have a lot of components, but it's so fun. And I love all the creativity. Like, I love how creative you said you have a board based on you paying subscribers and stuff. That's
Yeah.
very creative. And a lot of people out there have like yourself, these ideas I've never heard before. And if it's new to me, it gives me thinking in a different direction, and just all the podcasts and all the things. I love podcasts too, because of people
Yeah, I
sharing
started
ideas.
reading. I haven't done much of this, but I started reading little bits of this book here on Virginia that my
Uh-huh.
father did in 1973.
Oh, he wrote that? That's
This
awesome.
copy, because what I'm doing is preserving my father's legacy, and this copy
Mm.
is
Mm.
inscribed to his mother and father. This is to mother
Aw,
and daddy
I
from
love that.
Harold on May 30th, 1973. Yeah. I was 10 years old when he got that published. I remember him sitting at our dining room table in Birchwood, a little neighborhood where we had a little brick rancher, drawing
Yeah.
this map by hand.
What? Oh my gosh. Very
Yeah, so
talented.
he was really jack of all trades, master of many, and
Yes.
he was out there in the garage making furniture for my mother to furnish the house. He didn't go out and buy stuff; he built it.
Oh, I love that. He MacGyvered everything, I bet, right? I love MacGyvering things. You got a MacGyver
I
flair.
did a little bit of that. Yeah, I do what I can with what I have, but these days I'm kind of sitting down here in this bunker in DC, just trying to figure out what the heck is going on with this world we're living in.
Please do that
What's
and let us
going to be
know.
next? Yeah, yeah. What
Do
could
that and let us
possibly? And it's a lot of it's very very theatrical to me.
It is
And
very theatrical, intentionally theatrical. Yeah.
yeah, and I go into the spiritual masters and stuff to try
Mhm.
to see what they've said. And Mayor Baba is the one who really gets to me because
Yeah.
he didn't talk between 1925 and 1969 when he dropped the body.
Yes.
He didn't say a word, but he did do a lot of writing on his alphabet board initially, and then he had a gestural language after he threw away the alphabet board.
Mm.
I'm not sure why he decided to go to the gestural language that only his mandali really could interpret, but apparently they could understand his hand signs for what he was trying to convey. And, he wrote a book called God Speaks.
Mm. I haven't read that. I'm going to read that. I'm putting that on my list.
That's one. And I would also recommend Harpo Speaks, because Harpo also was silent, the Marx
Okay.
Brothers.
Okay.
And then he wrote a book that's about yay thick.
I think a lot of people, like, I'm obsessed with Nikola Tesla. I was all the inventors and Da Vinci and stuff, but Nikola Tesla he just stopped going around people because he enjoyed thinking about everything all the time more than anything else. So I think some people just decide they're over the human part of it, and they're just like, I'm just gonna think about it all the time, And I think that people actually do that, and they say they do that sometimes. Maybe they did that.
Well, I'm going to be getting out there, I hope. I've got to be doing what they call a trail at Daily Provisions on Monday. So for 3 hours, I'll sort of trail around behind the staff there, and then maybe I'll go to work there.
That's
And,
cool.
basically serving the public in front of the house staff. I think that'll be good for me because I think I have a personality
Yes.
that can be hopefully accessible to people. I know that some people find me very intimidating too. So, yeah.
I find that hard to believe.
What can I do? Well, I've been called the nicest guy on Substack by the Everyday Junglist. I don't know if you've run into the Everyday Junglist yet, but he lives down in Tijuana. And he's the chief science officer of a startup that's come up recently. And it's concentrating on working on phages. That's really his jam, is molecular biology.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, you want to get down to the roots of things.
Yes.
Phages are apparently the most common thing in the world, practically, although they're not really alive. They're like viruses on bacteria.
I don't know much about that, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, well, I think it's really interesting, and we talk about phages a lot, and
Yeah.
how, because of every bacteria has at least one phage, maybe more. And what they do, of course, is they insert their genetic material into the machinery of the bacteria. They don't have any of their own. That's why they're not counted as being alive.
Ah, interesting.
And then the bacteria machinery, of course, is taken over and does what it needs to do to produce a lot more phages, which destroys the bacteria. And this is good if you need to destroy bacteria, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, bacteria would take over the world and
Right.
kill
Keeps
us.
everything in balance. The good, back to the yin yang balance philosophy, right? Yeah.
We're so far we've made it, and eukaryotic life blows my mind. Just the very fact we're made up of all these cells and all these trillions of other things that live within us that keep us going. We're symbiosis, right?
Exactly.
And simulation, okay, I'll take that maybe.
Yeah.
But the computational power that's available,
Mm-hmm.
it's your quote about maybe this happened a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Simulation got put into action, and there are many different ones to go into. Um, it reminded me of Douglas Adams' statement about that.
Love Douglas Adams. He knows things, new things.
Interestingly, he died the day I bought the Complete Hitchhiker's Guide to entertain myself in Copenhagen.
Oh, wow.
It's like something out of the book.
It is.
The author was dropped dead, on his he was apparently on a treadmill and had a heart attack.
Wow.
But
the universe works in mysterious, simulated ways. I like
and I think that was the quotation was something to the effect of, there's a theory that if anybody ever grasps the universe, it'll automatically just collapse and be replaced with something even more inexplicable. There's another theory that says this has already happened.
Right. Well, that explains a few things.
Yeah, I liked it. There was also the very famous quote that in the beginning the universe was created. This has been widely regarded as a bad move and made a lot of people very angry.
Right. Yes, I love. That's so
good. We kind of embrace the universe as it appears to be.
Exactly. Yeah, you can just have fun with all these thought experiments. Thought experiments are like my favorite thing. If you have a ridiculous idea, I want to listen about. I want to think about it. That's fun. And so all these things are so fun right now.
Yeah, I have a lot of ridiculous ideas. One of them is that I control the universe I live in, and you control the universe you live in. And between the two of us, we're having a pretty good time here. Now, there are people who aren't having a good time.
Right.
And I'd like to be able to help them have a good time also.
Yes, I like this.
I think one of my biggest, influences is this guy. Have you ever heard of Saint Misbehaving, the Wavy Gravy movie?
I've heard of it, but not seen it.
Yeah, it's really worth the price of admission. There we go. Mm-hmm. Wavy, is a countercultural clown of sorts. But he wrote a book I have over here somewhere. I don't know if I'll be able to grab it, but it's called Something Good for a Change. And it's just little vignettes out of his life. He was responsible for, Graham Nash writing Chicago, that song that says, "We can change the world, rearrange the world."
Yeah. Some of my favorite phrases, change the world.
And we are going to. I think we can't help but change the world. Did you see Jane Goodall's last message, by the way?
I don't know.
It's out on Netflix. You can find it, I think, still. It's her last word. She recorded it knowing that it would be aired after she died.
Oh, wow.
And in October, of course, she dropped the body.
Okay.
There you go. And her message was then, out there on Netflix now. It was aired at that point. First, it was a little interview with the guy, and then she was left alone in the studio to turn to the camera and say, everything you do makes an impact.
That's very, very true.
And we can change this world and we can take care of it, but only if we stay mindful of the impact of our actions. And I like to go back to the Blues Brothers on this one. You remember the Blues Brothers, right?
Of course, yeah. Fun.
Aretha Franklin talking to Matt Guitar Murphy saying, you got to think about what you're doing. You got to think about the consequences of your actions.
Yes. Thank you. That is a good. Yeah. I think, we all get on autopilot a little bit here and there for certain things. And it's easy for that to take over to be a lot of things if you don't consciously step back and assess your own thought thinking sometimes,
Yes.
you know? And yeah, there's a lot happening in the world right now.
Well, you're doing good things with it, it sounds like. What's your next thing?
I'm doing a training. I'm really excited about this for a large foundation in Cleveland for their graduates of their two top marquee programs, and they're all grassroots. They're either community development centers leaders or leaders of grassroots nonprofit community members, and they're all like, I know a lot of the people who go through their programs, and they're just like amazing. So I'm super excited because I'm going to be talking about basically what we started this show a little bit about, like, what I just think people are over, the first couple of years of people's perception of a new technology, they're really interested how it works. Well, but then now you don't have to worry about that. You have to know how to ask the right questions and how to solicit feedback and how to share and how to not make people feel scared. And you already do that if you're a leader. And so it's that simple in my eyes. And then also you can do some cool stuff, but the thought process is important. And I'm really, really excited about that. And then I'm hoping to speak in Portugal soon as well.
Oh, great. I love that. I hope that we can come back and talk again soon. I'm watching the clock here. We're at 3:34. You said you have something at 3:45.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Sometimes don't pay attention. Get that time behind them.
With, again, talking about empower your nonprofit. And this in particular is about simple ways to co-create with AI for profound impact, folks. So if you're watching, do check out. This came out from Wiley, the publication, and there are the blurbs on the back. I'm not going to read all the blurbs. Hope you don't mind. And Amy is also a frequent keynote speaker, as well as the founder of the Resourceful Nonprofit, a nonprofit consulting group that offers a number of free resources to nonprofit professionals. I will try to, put up maybe a hyperlink or two. If you want to send me some on email or whatever, that'd be helpful.
Thank you.
That way we can amplify that signal through the noise. And let's do more of this, because I think that we really have, it seems to me, we're simpatico.
Get into the sim theory. we'll have all these sci-fi book ideas by every conversation, right? So
yeah, and so far you haven't triggered my oppositional defiant disorder at all.
Oh, look at that. Flowing. Love it. No, I don't think I can agree that you're a very nice person. I would find it hard to believe that anyone would think otherwise. So
they do. I mean, I've triggered a lot of people's inner child, I think, wounds.
Nice.
Usually I know that that's a projection onto the space I occupy, and that it's something about how I look, how I talk. I got pretty good modulation in the voice, and I can sound like I'm an authority sometimes. So a friend of mine says I can produce the illusion of competence.
Well, that's a good compliment.
It is, but it's all just sort of a play for me. I think of myself as an imp carried around the animal.
Yeah.
That goes from dawn to dusk and back again, and is trying to figure out what the hell. How did I get here? Yeah.
That's the funniest description I've ever heard. And you even have I could see that when you were saying it. I could see it. That's funny.
Trying
Love
to
it.
drive this animal around.
Right. And it doesn't want to. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I love
Robert Fripp talks about that. Are you familiar with King Crimson and Robert Fripp?
I don't think I am super familiar.
I would turn you on to his sister too, Patricia Fripp. She's big into people presenting. And Robert's a guitarist, leader of King Crimson. If you've ever heard David Bowie's Heroes and that droning guitar on the background, that's Robert Fripp. They flew him into the room and he did that.
Okay.
But he's big into discipline and the work of G.I. Gurdjieff as filtered through the lens of John Godolphin Bennett, who had a thing called Sherborne House. Robert took down King Crimson basically in 1974 and went to Sherborne House, where basically give you a shovel and tell you to dig a ditch just because you need to dig a ditch and get into be in your body, really. And you're embodied, and we need to be conscious of ourselves. And he can do these things with time signatures. We can do like take 5 in this hand and 4 in this hand and keep that beat going, 2 different beats at the same time. And it's mind-bending to me.
That is mind-bending. I'll have to check that out.
Music. And there's a whole field of that. But I should let you go.
Cool.
Because we're like 7 minutes from your next thing.
Yeah. And you know what? Next time we can talk all sorts of fun music stuff.
Excellent. I'd love to. I'd love to hear what you're listening to and share that
Get
information.
your ideas for some beats.
All right. Well, we'll
Love it.
talk to you later. I'm going to stop the recording here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.